Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Arrow, and ooh, it was good. We finally got our first glimpse of the Suicide Squad, and this is the squad that Amanda Waller has been putting together, which is pretty much just a bunch of criminals, and they're off doing crazy missions for her, and they all pretty much have a chip in their head, so they could go at any time. And if they disobey or if they try to go rogue, she will detonate that button. And we saw that in this episode. There was some interesting stuff going on with Diggle. Thank goodness he finally got a full episode worth of juicy stuff, which was good. And he was leading the team of Suicide Squad members. And of course, that involved Deadshot, who we know from previous episodes, and he is actually the guy who killed Diggle's brother. And he had a huge vendetta against him, and he tried to kill him several episodes ago, but they did not kill him, and then Amanda Waller brought him into her organization, I guess, at Argus. And then we had Tiger, if you all remember, he's the one who has like the claw fingers, and he's part of this. And then we had some other guy, but he pretty much flopped the plan, and she detonated a bomb in his head, so he was Denzo. So it'll be very interesting to see which other characters they include into this this Suicide Squad. But I like that the mission they went on brought us some flashbacks into how Diggle first of all met his wife Lila, and then how that played into what their mission was in this episode. And it went back to like Kandahar, I believe, and he was basically one of those guys who was trying to profit off of all the stuff that goes on in the Middle East, and he's not a good person. So he was pretty much making this nerve agent that he wanted to sell, I guess, on the black market, and it could obviously destroy hundreds and thousands of people. So Amanda and her crew had to swoop in and get this agent and destroy it. But when they got in there, they realized that it wasn't something that was small enough for him to just be able to carry out with his hand. And of course, she knew this the whole time. She just needed to get eyes on it so she could see it. And then they were going to send in a drone and like mash up the place. So Amanda Waller is a rude gal, okay? She means business and she doesn't care. Even after Diggle comes up with a really good plan to get everybody out of the home so that they can all not die from this drone strike. They all get out, and then as they're jumping to this truck, they take off, and all of a sudden the drone starts following them because obviously they realize that the drone is following the chip that is in Deadshot's head, which obviously has a GPS on it. So Diggle's wife Lila cuts it out of him and throws it on the ground, and then boom, the drone hits the target. I mean, crazy. So and then when they get back to the office, Amanda's like, well, obviously we realize that there's a flaw here and it needs to be put into like the spinal cord. So these chips need to go to the spinal cord. This woman is crazy, okay? And I love it. So by the end of it, of course, this brings Diggle and Lila a little bit closer together, and some really good scenes between Diggle and Deadshot, because obviously they have had this huge vendetta against one another. And when you see Deadshot come out of his prison cell, he's got all these pictures up in his cell, and they're of his daughter. So technically, like, we get a little bit of an insight into him that he has a daughter out there, and he knows that he's not a good man and that she deserves much better. And they have some really nice scenes between him and Diggle, which are actually kind of nice considering how much they hate each other. And then at the end, Diggle even says, I can't believe that like he had almost more integrity than the woman who's protecting our country. So it was just kind of an interesting revelation between Diggle and him to see those scenes play out. So I kind of like that. And then, of course, we had some good scenes between Diggle and Lila, and it looks like they're back on track as being husband and wife, and that was kind of nice because it's nice to see Diggle get a little love in here and there. But we also got, some nice flashbacks to see how they met, and they met back in Kandahar when they were taking this prisoner, I don't know, somewhere, and then they were attacked, and Diggle saved his life, and that's why when he was throwing this party, Diggle came and was invited to the party, blah, blah, blah. But the point of it is, it was some good backstory for Diggle's character and Lila. And the fact that Amanda Waller knows so much about what's going on between Diggle and Arrow / Oliver is kind of awesome because it's nice to know that there's people watching, like they're not just on their own. And Lila knows all about Sarah and what Oliver does. So it's good that there's like other people that are aware of what is going on with them, but they just can't really, or they're not doing anything about it because I guess they figure they're on the side of good, not evil. So let's talk about Oliver now, and the fact that this whole episode he is like dead set on trying to find Slade, and he wants to take him out. Okay, that is all he's got on his mind, and of course, Felicity's telling him about these like some situations that are going on. So he's going to find out, like, to see if Slade is there, and then he's finding bodies with arrows in them, and he doesn't actually see Slade. He just can sense him. So when he turns around and he goes up on top of this building, of course, there's the mask with an arrow through it. And of course, we all know what that means. And by the end of this episode, we even get the final name of Deathstroke, that is what they're calling Slade, but they don't know that, or Amanda Waller and her team didn't know it was actually Slade. So, some good revelations there. All these pieces of the puzzle are coming together, which is really cool. So again, Oliver, feels like he needs to obviously try to protect Felicity, protect Sarah. So he's totally pushing her away in this episode. And I feel like the two of them work. I feel like they really work together, and I'm actually liking the two of them together because I find that Oliver, or the actor that plays Oliver, he doesn't really have chemistry with anybody. So I really liked him with Shadow, but she's toast. And so Sarah, I feel, has the next best connection and chemistry on screen. So I really enjoy the two of them. I like all the scenes that they're in together. So in this episode, he was really pushing her away because he feels that Slade will use her against him, and it totally makes sense, right? So, which led to some very interesting scenes between Sarah and Laurel because just a couple episodes ago, like, she was, they had obviously mended some fences, but it's still not great between the three of them. But so it was kind of nice that Laurel was helping her sister, deal with Oliver trying to push her away. So anyway, so then this led us to a really good scene where Felicity once again tells Oliver where he can track down the money guy who gave donations to, I guess, Slade's, or how Slade was able to donate money to Moira's campaign. So they track him down, and of course he's got an arrow through his eye, and he's in this office, and when he turns around, there's like this footage of Shadow, and it's like this old video footage, and she's laughing and she's like smiling and da da da, and of course this is obviously getting to Oliver, and he realizes that Slade is like a 5-10 steps ahead of him because he's been planning this for such a long time. So you see Sarah, and of course she's fighting against that like log thing, which is always really cool, looks really badass, and she's all sweaty, whatever. And then Oliver comes in and he's all like disheveled and sad, and he's just like, I can't do this. Like, he's way too planned out. He's 5 steps ahead of me. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this. And she says, you're going to be able to do this because you don't have to do it alone. And she's basically saying, I'm going to be here for you. And he's like, but, she's like, what makes you think that even if we're not together, he's not going to try to kill me? He still will. So basically Sarah's like, look, I'm your ride or die chick. That's it. Like, we are in it together. So it was a really great scene between the two of them. And she just like, basically says, she holds his face and she's like, listen, I'm not the same girl from the island. I'm not going to be that easy to kill. So she's just, reaffirming that she means business just as much as Oliver does. And so much has happened since the island and everything that she's so tough, you know what I mean? And we've all seen that. So some really great scenes between Oliver and Sarah in this episode. And I really do enjoy the two of them together. So all that stuff worked for me. And I think just like, sometimes the story of the week or the case of the week can get a little blah blah blah. But I really actually liked the introduction of the Suicide Squad, and the fact that they realize that they're not ever going to really get out of prison. They're just part of this team, to do work for Argus or Amanda Waller. So by the end of the episode, Oliver goes to see Amanda, and it's funny because I guess back in those episodes, I couldn't remember that they had, obviously had some scenes together, and and he hates her. So when he goes to her, he says, "I need your help," and or she's basically like, "Oh, who do you hate more than me?" And he's like, "Slade," and she's like, "What are you talking about? He's dead. You killed him." So it's interesting again that she knows all this information, and he says, "No, he's still alive, and I need you to help me find him." And then she starts putting the pieces together that they've been tracking this guy from wherever to Starling City, and she brings up this image, and it's like obviously this guy in this, with this mask on, and he's like very big and buff, and they're calling him Deathstroke. So there you have it, guys. That's our last shot of the episode, and it's just a single shot of Slade as Deathstroke. So that was kind of cool. Again, Amanda Waller, whoa, she means business. So I don't want to get on that girl's bad side because she will knock you out. And I hope to see some fight scenes with her because we all know from Spartacus days that that girl can throw it down. So that'll be cool. Another good episode of Arrow. I'm really enjoying the show. I feel like they're putting all these pieces together quite nicely. They're putting all like they're intertwining all these characters and these storylines very well. I think that's all playing out nicely, and I cannot wait to see what happens once like there's the big showdown between Slade and Oliver. And obviously we still need to get some stuff with Sebastian Blood because he is obviously one of Slade's minions, and all that's going to be very interesting when it comes to play. And obviously Roy's trying to get stronger and he's working out and da da da. So it's going to be crazy. Can't wait to see what happens. Okay, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode if you enjoyed it as much as I did. Right now, Arrow's on a roll and I'm liking it. Let me know what you thought. Okay, guys, see you next week. Bye.